move your finances into places that will be able to support you through the coming crash.
You still buying silver, Dr. Valentine?
Yeah, I bought, let's just say, a substantial amount, but copper is my next target.
Copper? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, copper is what you're going to be dealing with because everything that is in the new financial system, especially the new, what do you call it, technological system, copper is going to be very, very important.
Mm.
You're going to see copper prices rise.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Gold, of course, will rise.
mm-hmm.
Some say it will go to 5,000, which is why we talk about the Glint account. You go up
Right.
to glintpay.com and buy gold,
Mm-hmm,
be
mm-hmm,
able to spend gold.
mm-hmm.
Okay, and you don't have to spend a lot. I mean, if you want to, give up on them Jordan sneakers and go out and and deal with all kind of expensive foods and so forth, be frugal and be able to deal with the things that are necessities at this time.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be caught up in the illusion where you see celebrities, making it rain and all this kind of nonsense. That's the illusion to get you to keep the system going.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
see, you take your money and you begin to seed it in places where you know that they're shifting the entire system, and then you will survive.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the ancient system of bartering? Do you think that that's an effective way to
Oh, yeah, only if there is worth, value for value. And this is the reason why we are still slaves, because we are expecting value, okay, but we're paying it with paper money that's worth nothing, which is why we're heavily taxed. You see, so value for value, we don't trade value for value anymore. So if the barter system comes in, then we have to set the trend for what is value. And this is what the so-called XRP, XLM, these so-called cryptocurrencies, what I call quantum currencies. I don't like to call them cryptocurrencies. Those cryptos where you put dead things. I like the quantum currencies that are dealing out there now have the ability to actually amplify value. So gold may actually be used as the qualifier for XRP, for example, but you'll find that XRP will then be the value determinant for gold.
mm-hmm.
So there's an interface, an interaction of value. Now, the Internet of Information for the last, say, 20 years, 25 years since the Internet was put up, is now changing into the Internet of Value. So now you have to use because they're pulling us in it. We're already into the AI machinery. How are you going to survive? Do you want to pull away? If we can live in the woods and break away and get our own, cabin and village, yeah, let's do it. But make sure that you have the ability to expand. Make sure you have water, agricultural land, because you see what they're doing. They're poisoning. They poisoned all the cows because they're attacking the food supply. Next thing they're going to poison is the water. They already poisoned the air. This is a subtle. What you're finding right now and seeing right now is a subtle attack against the United States of America. Very well done. Now, do I sound like an alarmist? No, I'm not an alarmist. I have solutions that I can help people with. I'm not just saying these things to get, what do you call that? Uh, Clicks or, there's no, what my son just told me what the word cap means. And cap, whatever that means. I mean, the cap is, I used to wear them on my heads. Now I got to think, now they mean lies or something like that, you know. But like I said, my brother, and people, and I'm very honored that people trust me, and I take that trust to heart very, very seriously. So when I do come before the family and I tell them something, it's because I've done my vetting. It doesn't mean that I don't want them to vet. I I demand that you vet because you may tell me something I need to know. But in everything I'm telling you in the webinars and what I speak to you here on the forum with Brother Rich, I want you to vet and then take the opportunity to take advantage, because I have found, and people have found, that over the course of my entire time of doing this, that I've been at least 95 to 96, maybe even 98% correct in the assumptions that I've made and the information that I've put forth to the people.
You want to take a few Q&A, Doc?
Sure.
Let's take before we take Q&A, let me post the link to the webinar that's going down this Saturday. Uh just posted the link for those who are interested. It is in the chat room. I think I'm gonna find a way to pin it to the top. But give me a question to a couple of questions for Doc. We ain't gonna be in here too long, but we definitely gonna take some Q&A from the people.
By the
Give
way,
me, yeah.
yeah, if I wanted to, if for the people who may have a problem with the getting or being sent the registration link, um, just send a request to my email. Just send it to Sunu, SUNNU 777 at gmail.com. That's Sunu, S as in science, UNNU 777 at gmail.com. And in the subject box, make sure you put the words webinar, or just the word webinar, in all capital letter. And then I will send the link to you and all the other numbers and links for all the other services that you may be interested in.
They're asking about and I'm so not watching the news right now. What happened with the Vatican? Is burning down, Doc?
Well,
Eh,
what they're doing is they're trying to destroy certain records.
Oh shit.
Remember, we talked about that years ago,
Uh-oh.
that they had to make sure, because they've been told all the things that they're burning is not only burning paper, but they're burning bodies, because there's a lot of skeletons and a lot of uh, records of their child sacrifice and the whole nine yards going on in the place where they actually worship Lucifer. There's actually a chapel to Lucifer in the Vatican. And of course, they have to make sure that all the records that they have, and the bank records especially, and there's going to be a lot of arrests of the the so certain cardinals and certain the Pope, certain members of the Jesuits. There's going to be a lot of mass arrests going on very quietly behind the scenes. It's not going to look like it, because people are going to start saying, well, well, how come these people are still ruling? Well, there's about three or four different Bidens, and official recognition will show you that each of the Bidens that they send out there aren't the same Biden.
All right. So you seen the son smoking that crack, man?
Oh, wait, no, wait. Were you there when we did on one of our webinars where we showed you him about to sex this little 7-year-old?
Oh man, I don't even want to hear. Oh God.
Yeah, well, we
It's-
showed that, had the child dressed in stockings and a garter belt, and the child looking pathetic with wings, looking, dressed up like like a street walker,
mm,
and he's over there grinning and taking selfies with her.
yeah, that's
And
a
this guy's he's a sick bastard.
yeah. You could
And,
tell.
and in fact, and most people don't know that he had one of the so-called Obama daughters in his in his pictures. That's why they don't want to show it, because it would blow the entire Democratic Party will come crumbling down,
Uh,
because he's got pictures of, and they're not actually Obama's daughters. Please, let's understand that right now. Those are not Obama's daughters. Those are what you call beards, mini beards, what I call mustaches, where they call women who are on the arms of, say, homosexuals, so he doesn't look like a homosexual.
mhm,
Well, they call her a beard.
mm,
Well, these little children, I call them little mustaches,
mm,
because essentially they don't belong to him or to Michelle or Mikel or whoever. But they have a picture of she and another girl with Biden.
mm. Crazy.
Mhm.
A lot of people are asking your thoughts about the Georgia Guidestone pyramids. What's your thoughts about the explosion that took place?
Well, I did I did a whole breakdown of the Georgia Guidestones that was actually erected by a Rosicrucian. And I have that particular thing. I don't have his name right now with me, but the Georgia Guidestones were broken down because uh, the so-called white hats and the people who know what it really means destroyed it simply because it was supposed to be a guide to the first or to the so-called New World Order. And that guide to the New World Order was to bring the population of the entire planet down to 500 million, and that's it. And part of that is going to be what you see getting ready to come over the next cycle of what we call, you have the curve. The only way you see a curve is because they're actually taking pictures of the horizon with a fisheye lens. I did an entire. I don't know if you're. Matter of fact, it was at your your New York appearance when you invited me in
Yeah.
that I showed the picture of the guy who did the highest drop from a. He went all the way up into a from a platform, and they took a picture of um, the original horizon, which was completely flat, and then they showed you the bend, the one where they curved it from the fisheye, and I put it side by side to show you that this thing is nonsense. When you see the horizon curve and you see the oceans curved, that's ridiculous. It's nonsense, and people are actually buying that nonsense. And I defy you to go to Google and and Google in and say, um, show a picture of the Earth from outer space, and you put that into Google and say the Earth, a picture of the Earth from outer space, and they will show you 10 to 12 to 13 different types of Earths, and they're all CGI. They're all created by computer, by NASA, and there's no legitimate picture of our Earth from outer space. I mean, from deep space, where you can see the moon and the Earth. Everything you're seeing is Hollywood. The Earth is flat, but it's not of just the Earth is flat. We're on a plane that's flat, an entire plane, a plane that is isolated by what I've come to call a compressed hydrogen dome. Everything else is water. We are all water bearers. We are all water entities. Outer space, there's no such thing. What's beyond the dome are other domes because the only way that you can actually contain an atmosphere is in a dome. They tell you that your atmosphere that you're living in, oxygen and the ionosphere, the troposphere, what are all the different spheres? They tell you all these are different densities of gas. Isn't that what they teach you?
Mhm.
Then if the earth is underneath all this gas and above the gas is a vacuum, what's keeping the vacuum from sucking all that gas back out into outer space? There is no outer space.
Next question is, why do they demonize Lucifer?
Well, simply because they don't want you to investigate Lucifer. When you demonize something, don't you automatically revile it? Preachers talking about Lucifer because of the story and the narrative that was created. They know what Lucifer really meant because the actual word, the foundation of the word is light. And they say it's the bringer of light. But what was Lucifer? Not who was Lucifer, what was Lucifer? What did they change from a what into a who? Remember, everything that you're seeing in the Bible, everything that you're dealing with when you're dealing with mystical beings and mystical creatures and messiahs, all of these are fabricated by the minds of men and women. So Lucifer essentially was at one point the bringer of the light, the bringer of the dawn, right? Well, if you were to understand how the bringer of the dawn is, you'll look up in the sky during a clear morning, especially in the summertime, and you will see a bright morning star right before the sun crests over the horizon. That's Lucifer. Lucifer is the bright morning star, right? Now, Jesus said that's who he was in Revelations. I believe 16 and 22. He said, I, Jesus, I've come to you in the churches or something to that nature. I am the something and something and the scion of David and the bright morning star. When I said that in Philadelphia, they almost ran me out on a rail. I said, how is Jesus saying that he's the bright morning star? And then the preachers got on there and started talking about, well, that's not the bright morning star we're talking about. There's a whole other bright morning star. Oh, really? Every one of them try to pull, they go to their Bible to try to find something to contradict what's supposed to be the Word of God. This
Mm,
is this definitive Word of God. You wrote it out. This is it. This the beginning of the sentence, the end of the sentence. Period. Now you're going to tell me there's 12 other meanings when I tell you that's one of the meanings that you keep skirting by. So no, we are the Lucifer is within you. Lucifer is the lamp of God that is lit, that taketh away the sins of the world. Lucifer is actually your pineal.
mm. Indeed. Let's get to the next question. Somebody says, Johnny says, I recently did psychedelics, and what I believe to be my higher self kept discussing the Anu Wars and the Galactic Federation. Please explain.
Well, how long have you been studying the Galactic Federation before you took the psychedelics? Because you have to remember that your subconscious is extremely vulnerable to influence. So when you start taking psychedelics, peyote, ayahuasca, or any of the other ones, when you start taking those, you're going into a crypt that you created maybe many lives ago, because it's still in your DNA. So when the greatest thing that influenced you, that made you think twice, that gave you a feeling of authenticity and deep emotions, those come back when you start taking psychotropics. And so, if your higher self is speaking to you, your higher self is always the unconscious, subconscious mind. It's always speaking to you in whispers. It speaks to you in whispers until you take that psychotropic and you break down the borders between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. That's why some people can't take psychotropics, they go crazy. Because the
Mm,
subconscious mind starts flooding everything back to them in
mm,
the form of symbols and feelings and taking you out of your body. The body starts panicking because the body knows it's terminal. It knows it's going to die one day, and it knows that anything that takes it away from its own sense of self is a danger to its existence. So you start getting fearful. You start going crazy. I'm going to die. Well, yeah, you're having a little death because death is almost like having a psychotropic trip. Because I did it. I know.
mm. You took DMT before?
No, I didn't take the DMT. I died. I drowned.
Right. You said you mentioned that. You mentioned
Mhm.
it. Mm. Um, how do you communicate with your spiritual parents?
That's a good question. You are your spiritual presence. You think that you're communicating with someone or something outside of yourself. So you think you need to bring them to you. The Bible, if you do understand that it is nothing more than a great book written by great men and women, what it's saying is, be still and know that I am, which means that I am means that I am everything and that everything is within me. So you are not only the child, you are the parent. In fact, I say the child is the father to the man. You don't teach the child to be a child, but what does that child teach you?
How to be a parent.
How to be a father. Yes. So, yes, if you want to communicate with your spiritual parents, know that your spiritual parents are you and that you are a reflection of that. And meditation, if you have an image of them, you can always go into your mind in a quiet space and make sure that your thoughts are not overriding you because your thoughts are very fearful when you begin to do things that it can't control. Thought needs to be in control all the time because thought is the one that makes the body feel. like it's existing and it has control of itself. When you take yourself outside of that particular rubric of activity, then the spirit begins to come in, and all of a sudden, that which is not terminal begins to take over, and the terminal begins to become fearful.
Mm,
So, your spiritual is always trying to lock in and make your body go to ease, but the body does not go to ease. You have to become accustomed to what it's like to go into that particular state of mind, or else you'll go crazy. So yes, your spiritual parents is already existing within you. If you have a sense of them, a picture of them, then meditate with them, a candle in a dark room with their pictures first, and then you could do it by yourself when you're in a dark place. Make sure, of course, that there's no light in the room because
mm,
the darkness will become the screen upon which you will then, from your subconscious, project those images and you could see with them right there in the darkness. You
mm.
can see them.
Amazing. What is Queen Elizabeth's role in all of this? Oh
As a stuffed mannequin.
man.
Queen Elizabeth used to sign all of the Social Security checks. She's the one who, through the Vatican, runs the territorial constitution. Territorial constitution is a corporation, of course, a corporate constitution. The Pope runs the municipal constitution, which is in the so-called District of Criminals, D.C., Washington D.C., which he now is dealing with as the White House Office Incorporated. So the Queen Elizabeth essentially is going to be a non-entity in this. In fact, she's supposed to be indicted for the murder of all those Indian children up in Canada when she and Prince Philip or King Philip or whoever it was took those children on a bus ride and none of them ever came back.
Okay, let's get to the next question. If the dollar is about to crash, why do these companies accept it for gold?
Why do the companies accept it for gold? You mean the gold carriers? Yeah,
Yeah.
because the gold right now is a medium of exchange. It is the accepted medium of exchange. That's all. And its value is dropping each time. You have to pay more and more of those worthless dollars for what you need. Check. That tells you. So when the new system comes into play, the true value of gold for it to be the backing for any kind of fiat, for your gold to back the fiat, it has to have a higher value. So at this present time, gold is about maybe 2,000 and some change, 100 and some change, or even it may even sunk lower. But when the new system comes into play, then the new system changes and gold's value goes up in order to deal with the new value of the new currency. It's the same with XRP. If XRP is going to be handling cross border payments and uh, dealing with settlements, financial settlements, it means that if it's dealing with all the money, if it's dealing with all the money, the value of that exchange in between for settlement and cross border payments through the banks would have to raise the value of the XRP. So right now it's about 31 cents, but 31 cents can't deal or can't add or uh, can't create the liquidity necessary for the cross border payments and the amount of cross border payments. I'm talking trillions per day. For that to be handling, for it to handle that amount of money, the value has to go up. The only reason the value is down right now is because of this SEC court case that's going on with them. So I just suggest if you are going to do anything with that, with quantum currencies, then you deal with XRP, which has use case, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin will never be accepted by the banks. Okay, Bitcoin. I told you 5 years ago, 3 years ago. How long ago was it when you interviewed me at that conference in New York?
It was
Uh,
about 4 years ago.
4 years ago, and I told you don't mess with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Leave Bitcoin alone because it was created by the Five Eyes. And they say now there's four people that's supposed to have come forward to claim that they are Satoshi Nakamoto. No, they're not. Satoshi Nakamoto breaks down the word in the kanji and the katakana language of the Japanese. Those two words break down to central intelligence. I told you that in one of my webinars. I showed you that. So, because proof of work, as they call it, does not work in the new financial system, and because nobody knows who created Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is supposed to be a proof of value or stake. It's not a stake. So no bank is who is actually controlling all of this. They said that if Bitcoin, the word is that if Bitcoin were to take over the financial system of a country, that's when the government will roll out the tax. So you may hedge it, use it for a little while, get your money, and get out. And that goes for Ethereum. The ones that are use case, the ones that are going to be used by the new financial system, XRP, XLM, Quant, XDC, Cardano or ADA, and I would think there's maybe about one or two others, but those are the primers. Okay.
Okay, let's get to the next question. Where did I just see? Oh, somebody said, is the royal family part of the Alpha Draconian race?
Yeah, that's the older theory. Again, you have to look at the mythos of these coming from different parts of the universe. There's no universe that is the way that they show you with Star Trek going to planet into an infinite space. It's nonsense. So if you're dealing with alpha draconian races, you have to remember that we're not dealing with the mythos that surrounds that. If they're dealing with other entities from different time portals or different dimensional portals, then that's something different. Because they're actually the only way that you could deal in dimensionality is if you are actually functioning in the physical plane down here where or someplace close where you can actually interface with different compression paradigms or compressed paradigms, which you call dimensions. But if we are looking to look to an alpha draconian race, then look down in the earth where we're not allowed to go but so deep, where these entities were said to have had a battle with the soldiers and so forth. Are we dealing with draconians? We may be. Who knows? But to say that they came from another planet and there's a queen dragon and they keep pushing these things and getting us to love dragons. What about this big purple dinosaur and Jurassic Park? Get us into all these draconian images, the draconian image of entities that are running the planet from behind the scenes, and they're using quantum filters in order to keep physical forms and not to revert back. And sometimes they can be seen on TV when the TV, the imaging, the imaging that they have for their faces sometimes goes awry or askew. Yeah, there may be a draconian race, but not the way that we're looking at them. Because remember, everything they're going to be fed to you, anything that they tell you to look at once, twice, three times, but always look for something behind that. Or look for something off the grid where they don't want you to look. Because they want this hand to be the thing keeping your attention, while this hand is the one doing the dirt. So when you start talking about alpha draconian races and so forth, and all of the copious amounts of data around that, know that they remember the Bible, came up with 66, 65 books. The last book, the 66th book, went in on the 16th century, which they called Revelations, but it was actually called the initiation of the anointing of Iesus, which was then changed to Apocalypse by the Catholics, and then changed by the Protestants into Revelation. So don't nothing of what you have been given in education or what you're thinking that you're seeing on TV or somebody is revealing to you, nothing should be trusted. Not even me. Don't you have to make sure that whatever it is that you feel comfortable with as far as explanations for the reality you're in, don't get too comfortable with it. Don't make it a part of your consciousness so that you are inflexible to what will be given to you as information. Because a lot of people latch on to something that they find very interesting in the storyline, and little clues are given to them to show them that they're right. But But that fixation that you have is keeping you from understanding you have to take a 360-degree scan of your reality. Not that 133 degrees that is just what it is until it's proven. Once the information is proven, it becomes knowledge. Once the knowledge is perfected, it becomes wisdom. Once wisdom is shared, it becomes enlightenment.
Indeed. Somebody asked a question about. Oh, where did it go? Uh, hmm. Well, I don't see that, but somebody said, "Can you speak on Loki and the imagination?" Loki.
You mean on the low low? Well, Loki is mischief, which means that that's the part of the mind and the part of the brain that is always seeking to upend um, order. Loki represents that part of reality that cannot stay fixated in its own sense of self. It has a beginning, a maturity, and an ending. And Loki is that part of that dynamic, that part of that movement in the creation of things that has the of chaos that is entered into everything created. Remember, you're on the physical plane, and on the physical plane, everything has a duration because it is trapped in time. It's trapped in the thought process. So what happens? Loki becomes the mischief that begins to have you questioning your reality. It has you wondering whether or not what it is that I'm doing is relevant anymore. So he has you tricked. He tricks you into believing or to believing that that you got the right answer, but everything around you is telling you you don't. So what you have to do now is to change your perspective. Loki forces you to examine yourself, to see twice. That's why you see him have all these images of himself. He has about 10 and 12 images that he can give you because he's got 10 and 12 different ways to distract you.
Mm.
So you have to understand that that's how that part of you, that's how chaos works. Chaos needs to do that in order to upend order because order, once fixated, can actually cause death. It'll cause an entropy that causes you to stagnate and then stagnate unto death. Life is movement. Life is continually renewing itself. And so Loki is that part